I am 73 years old and my wife died in April. We were married for 52 years. 52 years. I have been saying that number to people since the funeral, and I think I say it because it sounds like proof of something. Like the length of it means I did it right. I am not sure I did it right. Her name was Ruth. She grew up in a small town in Ohio, one of 4 sisters, and she had this way of going quiet when something bothered her that I spent 5 decades misreading as contentment. I thought quiet meant fine. I was wrong about that for a very long time. I want to tell you something I have not been able to say to my children yet. Sitting here in this house, in the chair I have sat in for 30 years, with her reading glasses still on the side table because I cannot bring myself to move them, I want to tell you that I knew a version of Ruth. I knew her schedule, her preferences, her sense of humor, the way she took her coffee. I knew what made her laugh. I knew the surface of her completely. But I did not know her, and I only understood that after she was gone. When we met, I was 27. She was 25. I was working at an engineering firm, and I was focused, the way young men who want to prove themselves are focused. Not cruel, not absent in any dramatic way, just pointed in a direction that wasn't toward her most of the time. I thought that was normal. I thought providing was the same as being present. I carried that belief for decades without ever questioning it. Ruth wanted to be a painter. I knew that. She had studied art for 2 years before we married, and she was good. There were canvases in our first apartment that I walked past every day without looking at. When our first son came along, the canvases moved to a closet. When our daughter came, they stayed there. I never said she had to stop. I never told her to put them away. But I also never asked about them, never said, "Tell me about what you were working on." Never said, "Is there something you're missing?" I assumed she had made her peace with it. 20 years into our marriage, I came home late on a Thursday night, which was not unusual, and Ruth was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea that had gone cold. She looked up at me and she said, "I don't think you see me." And I said, "What do you mean I'm right here?" And she nodded slowly and said, "Yes, you're right here." We did not talk about it again. I told myself she had been tired. I told myself it was one of those moments that passes. It did not pass. I think it just went somewhere I couldn't see. She was a remarkable woman in ways I kept not noticing. She read constantly, history mostly, and she had opinions that were sharp and specific, and I cannot tell you how many dinners I half listened through while she talked about something she'd read. I was thinking about work. I was thinking about the next day. I was physically present and mentally somewhere that no longer exists, solving problems that no longer matter. She volunteered at the library for 18 years. I knew this. I drove her there sometimes. But I could not tell you the name of a single person she worked with, a single child she helped, a single story she was proud of. It was part of her life that I treated like background noise, not because I didn't care about her. I did care about her. I just didn't think those things required my attention. I thought our marriage was solid because we did not fight, because we were kind to each other, because we built a life together that looked, from the outside, like a good life. And it was a good life. I do not want to undo all of it, but there is a difference between a good life and a fully known life, and I did not learn that difference until she was already gone. She got sick 3 years ago, pancreatic cancer. We had 14 months from diagnosis to the end, and I want to tell you that I was there for all of it. I drove her to every appointment. I sat with her through treatments. I held her hand. I was present in a way I had not been for most of our marriage, and I think some part of me believed that this final chapter was making up for everything before it. But one evening, about 2 months before she died, We were sitting outside because she wanted to feel the air, and she said to me, out of nowhere, I always thought I'd go back to painting. And the way she said it, not with anger, not even with sadness exactly, just with this quiet acknowledgement of a door that had never opened. I didn't know what to say. I said, we still have time. She looked at me with this expression I will carry until I die, and she said, Harold, we don't. She was right. We didn't. She died on a Tuesday morning in April with the window open and her sisters in the room, and I was holding her hand, and I knew that whatever I had wanted to say to her, whatever questions I had meant to ask, whatever version of her I had never gotten around to knowing, that was finished now. That door she mentioned, it had finally closed all the way. What I think about now, sitting here with her glasses on the table, is not the big moments. It is not the anniversaries or the arguments or the milestones. It is the Tuesday evenings I spent in my office when I could have been in the same room with her. It is the questions I never asked. It is the 18 years of library stories I never heard. It is her voice talking about a book while I thought about something else, and her eventually stopping, and me never noticing she had stopped. I think about the canvases in the closet. After she died, I found 2 of them in the back, wrapped in cloth. I didn't know she had kept them. I sat on the floor of that closet for a long time. My daughter tells me I was a good husband. My sons say the same thing, and I think they believe it, and I think in many ways it is true. But I also think there is a category of failure that doesn't look like failure from the outside. That looks like a long marriage, a stable home, a man who stayed. And I stayed. I want that to count for something. It does count, but staying and knowing are not the same thing, and I confused them for 52 years. If you are younger than me and you are with someone, I am not going to tell you what to do. I don't think that's mine to give. But I will tell you what I wish I had understood earlier. I wish I had understood that attention is not the same as love, but it is how love is felt. I could feel love for Ruth deeply and privately and still leave her alone inside it. And I think that is what I did for most of our life together. I loved her in a way she could not always feel, because I was not looking at her closely enough to know how to reach her. I wish I had asked more questions, simple ones. What are you thinking about? What do you miss? Is there something you want that we haven't talked about? I was not afraid of the answers. I just never thought the questions were urgent. That is the thing about time. It never feels urgent until it is. I am 81 years old, and I live alone now in a house full of her things, and some days I walk through the rooms and I try to look at them the way she must have, the way a person looks at a life they assembled carefully while someone nearby wasn't watching. I try to see what she saw. I don't know if I'll get there. I have time now, which is the cruelest possible way to get it. If something in this reached you, I'd be glad to know, not for my sake. I'm past the point where that changes anything for me, but because Ruth deserved to be known, and if her story reminds you to know someone while you still can, then at least it travels somewhere useful. That's all I wanted to say.